There is evidence out there what happened in that room, and I'm not the one who's blocking.
Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we're taking a deep dive into the ongoing scandal around Strictly Come Dancing.
This is the BBC's most successful export and product.
For 20 years, Strictly has been a staple of British television. It's been massively successful, launching an international franchise that has taken over the world and generally been one of the least controversial reality shows out there.
Every single day there seems to be a bit of an addition to the story.
It's definitely had some scandals, but not on the level of other titans of the genre. Its only prominent issue over the years has been the so-called Strictly curse, as the long training sessions have led to people cheating with their dance partners many times. But the last decade has seen the Wild West of reality television come to an end, with shows like Big Brother, I'm a Celebrity, and Love Island facing increasing scrutiny, with Big Brother even leaving the airwaves in the UK for years.
His past dance partners were getting in touch with you and saying what?
I'm so sorry.
Now it looks like it's Strictly's turn to face the music, with allegations beginning to surface in January 2024. The Sun managed to get a scoop that former contestant Amanda Abbington, who competed in 2023, had requested all the footage of her training sessions with Giovanni Pernice.
I would get the producer saying, on the Friday, we've just watched the footage back. We are shocked and horrified. We're so sorry.
She'd withdrawn from the show in her series on medical grounds. Information slowly surfaced over the next few months, with further stories claiming that other Strictly contestants, journalist Ranveer Singh and Love Island host Laura Whitmore, had been talking to each other about similar experiences they'd had with Pernice. After weeks of speculation following another scoop by The Sun, Pernice officially left Strictly on the 10th of June. But that wasn't the end. The BBC had already been conducting an internal investigation, and its sights fell on Graziano Di Prima, who left the show in July. He'd been partnered with Zara McDermott, a former Love Islander, and she too has spoken out.
But she has come out and she says, when I was invited to be a contestant on the show, to me it was a childhood dream come true. However, my experience inside the training room was very different.
From then on, the tabloids were like a dog with a bone.
Giovanni made some comments alluding allegedly to Amanda Abbington. I'm not going to repeat them because actually it wasn't particularly nice.
Not only did they want the full details of the complaints from Abbington, they started talking to many other former Strictly contestants about whether they'd had any experiences. To go back to McDermott, she released a statement saying that she didn't go public sooner because she was so afraid of the backlash she might receive for criticising Strictly, a beloved British institution.
Reports have been made about my treatment on the show, and there were witnesses to some events, as well as videos of particular incidences which are incredibly distressing to watch.
Those fears weren't unfounded, as for months, Abbington has also been subject to a lot of online attackers, making strong threats against her because she's spoken out about Pernice.
I was getting like dozens a day on social, like dozens of people just saying, just go and kill yourself.
A story broke in the Express that McDermott's training videos had, quote, reduced people to tears when the show's staff had watched them. The moment that led to Di Prima getting the boot was when he kicked her in the footage.
This is your workplace, right? This is not a reality TV show that you've joined. You're not a contestant. You're the professional.
His representatives told the press that it was a mistake and that he apologized. But it's not hard to understand why an apology isn't good enough when someone was assaulted in what is ultimately a workplace, despite all the glitz and glamour.
Surely the guilty party in all of this are the management.
McDermott has also said that the kick wasn't the only incident with Di Prima. It seems that some of the professional dancers, far more desperate to win than their celebrity dance partners, went much too far during the training sessions.
It should be fun, and it should be a kind place to work.
It's become clear that what was previously passed off as tough love and a grueling training regimen is inexcusable, with celebs being degraded during rehearsals. And it hasn't only been female contestants who have spoken out. Also in July, Paralympian Will Bailey talked about what happened when he competed on Strictly back in 2019 and the injury he suffered that made him drop out of the show.
I think people with disabilities like mine have got severe arthritis in all 4 limbs. There has to be some kind of like, you know, someone to help those dancers.
Talking on This Morning, he discussed the serious knee injury he got after jumping from a table in rehearsals that led to his departure. He placed no blame on his partner, but did say that he thought the BBC needed to do more to support people with disabilities competing on the show specifically, since they have unique needs that need to be taken into account.
I was put in a hotel room after tearing my ACL, and I felt like that probably wasn't the best move.
He also said that he'd previously written to the BBC to try and get them to fix this, but that his suggestion of having an additional specialist on hand, not just the professional dancers, hadn't been taken on board.
No, people say I'm joining the bandwagon. I've had loads of people, like Strictly supporters and stuff, saying you're disgusting for joining this bandwagon.
In mid-July, following De Prima's departure, the BBC announced that it was going to start introducing chaperones in rehearsals to observe and make sure nothing untoward is happening.
What the BBC are now actually discussing is to have chaperones in the training room now, which I actually personally think is a good idea.
Some former contestants, including Anthony Ogogo and Alison Hammond, have said that they personally didn't feel like they needed chaperones during their time on the show, but that if the addition of chaperones helps even one person avoid the kind of things that Abbington, McDermott and others have been through, then it is beneficial. Ogogo compared the idea of chaperones to the role of intimacy coordinators on film and TV sets. Intimacy coordinators didn't really exist until the Harvey Weinstein scandal broke and horrified the entertainment industry in 2017, but they've since become invaluable.
I remember us just a few weeks ago talking about intimacy coaches and how Hollywood do these things, and I believe the BBC are sort of taking a few of those leads now, potentially.
Many actors have praised them, including rising stars like Paul Mescal, who said the sex scenes in 2020's Normal People felt, quote, empowering because of the work of intimacy coordinator Ita O'Brien.
It was like the Me Too movement, you know, it was like once somebody had spoken about what was going on in Hollywood, everybody else felt they could then say.
In the same way, it's hoped the Strictly chaperones will benefit everybody. But there are other aspects of the production that have been scrutinized too. In a huge Channel 4 interview with Krishnan Guru-murthy, who competed alongside Abbington in 2023, Abbington spoke about Strictly's aftercare, or lack thereof. Aftercare has become a big issue in reality TV since the massive scandals around Love Island and the Jeremy Kyle show, where numerous former participants on both shows took their lives.
I do feel I have the right to say it wasn't, it was a toxic environment that I was in while I was rehearsing.
While Jeremy Kyle was finally cancelled, Love Island wasn't, with ITV adopting strict rules for how its stars can use social media and a heap of new aftercare initiatives. On his podcast, The Rest is Entertainment, insider Richard Osman said that while aftercare has been rigorously implemented in civilian shows, it hasn't been brought in to the same degree on shows starring celebrities.
They tend not to have it on celebrity versions of shows, is the truth. They have it because they were made to have it on regular editions of shows.
He suggested that there's a belief among those productions that, since the stars are already well known, they should know what they're getting into. But clearly, that isn't the case, and celebrities are people too.
Waivers are signed, and it's assumed that people can handle themselves.
Well, I think we'll be assuming that they will be having it now after this.
Finally, social media is again an issue. Abbington talked about receiving death threats from Strictly's biggest fans, while McDermott said that fear of the backlash from its devoted fan base was one of the reasons she didn't want to go public before.
And she said, I was scared about the public backlash, I was scared about my future, and I was scared of victim shaming.
Will Bailey too was accused of trying to jump on a trend by criticising some aspects of the show, though his accusations were very different in nature, and he pointed out that he'd been saying these things for years but hadn't been listened to until now.
You have a duty of care to bring into that rehearsal room compassion, understanding, sensitivity and kindness.
So, other than the chaperones, what's the BBC doing? It hasn't released the footage that stars like Abbington have demanded, though it is conducting internal investigations into its professionals.
You wanted the footage.
Yeah.
And you can't get it.
No, I'm not allowed it.
It's also been suggested by Alison Hammond that perhaps people don't take the Strictly curse seriously enough, and repeated infidelities aren't issues that should be overlooked by the production the way they usually are.
I mean, we say it all the time about the Strictly curse, and it's kind of laughed upon and stuff like that, but I think there needs to probably be a change with regards to that.
And there's also the potential for serious injury that is taken as a given with a show about dancing.
Injuries happen, but mine could have definitely been avoided, I believe, if the right care was in place, and I hope it changes. That's all I want, really.
It's true that dancing is one of the most physically demanding and difficult things a person can do, but as Bailey suggested, perhaps too much onus is being placed on the one professional dancer to teach everything, and there should be additional experts on hand to help ensure safety.
Massive, like you say, everyone knows about Strictly. It's a massive show. Under that sort of scrutiny, they're not being able to walk for 6 months, having that recovery time, feeling lonely at times. I mean, it was mentally hard.
But it's also being debated whether the show should be cancelled completely in the wake of all of this.
Now, some people have called for Strictly to be axed. Well, there's the reaction.
Shocking.
No, but it's an interesting reaction.
Given the immense popularity of Strictly as one of the BBC's biggest shows, it seems deeply unlikely that this will happen. But it's not hard to argue that more should be done to protect everybody involved. Let us know in the comments whether you think Strictly can be saved or whether it should be axed.
Show of hands, who wants Strictly back?
Everybody
yes.
does.
Full house, thank you very much.